When the midsummer heat hits the concrete grid of Chicago, the tension on the block always reaches a boiling point. But between late July and mid-August of 2026, the city's underground warfare surged into an absolute frenzy. From high-profile hits inside crowded suburban venues to calculated broad daylight executions right on rival turf, the loss of life was non-stop. Respected street legends, rising rappers, and young affiliates all found themselves caught in a relentless crossfire. This is the breakdown of a devastating midsummer stretch that left the blocks cold, the streets on high alert, and a trail of unsolved homicides across Chicago. This is why the story does not stop at the basic headlines. On TopTrendReportTV.com, the full case file goes deeper into the tracking, the Reddit threads, the rival reactions, and the raw digital context behind these 30 days of Chicago gang violence. On August 19, 2026, a highly calculated daytime hit shook the McKinley Park neighborhood on the southwest side. At 3:51 in the afternoon, 26-year-old Quincy Faulkner, known in the streets as Quincy or Crash, was sitting inside a Ford van with a 56-year-old co-worker on the 3800 block of Southwestern Boulevard. Quincy was a major face and a core member of the Same Gang Collective, specifically repping the OTA faction. The afternoon was abruptly shattered when a Honda aggressively pulled up on their vehicle. Multiple shooters jumped out, upped their weapons, and unleashed an absolute storm of gunfire directly into the van. Quincy was the clear target. The barrage was so merciless that, according to street chatter and early reports, he was hit too many times for police to even count at the scene. Both victims were rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital. Quincy's catastrophic injuries were insurmountable, and he was tragically pronounced dead. His older co-worker took a devastating shot to the torso and was listed in critical condition. Quincy's death was a massive blow to OTA, and the underground reacted immediately. Rivals from Toss Gang, DCG, Snatch Gang, 757, and OTM, including rapper Vaughn off 1700, flooded social media to relentlessly disrespect the fallen Same Gang member. Meanwhile, members of SMG started posting tributes to Juvie, an affiliate killed back in 2019, heavily implying to the streets that this execution was long-awaited get-back. The shooters piled back into their Honda and vanished without a trace. Chicago police have confirmed that no one is in custody, leaving this high-profile assassination sitting wide open. On August 16, 2026, the violence spilled over onto the west side in the Lawndale neighborhood. Just after the clock struck midnight on a Sunday, 35-year-old Ronald Hill, known heavily in the streets as Rondo, was standing outside on the 4200 block of West Tarmac Road. According to the word going around online, Rondo was posted up comfortably right inside his own hood. He was a recognized and established member of the Comad Collective. The late night calm was completely shattered when a group of unidentified individuals walked up on his location. Things escalated fast. Before anyone could react, someone in the crowd pulled a weapon and started letting shots fly. Rondo was caught in a line of fire, taking a devastating round straight to the chest. Emergency medical personnel arrived on the scene and rushed him over to Mount Sinai Hospital, but the damage was simply too heavy, and he was tragically pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office later officially confirmed his identity. Right now, the group that stepped to him that night has completely vanished into the city. Chicago police have confirmed that nobody is in custody. And as detectives try to piece together the late night attack, this case is still sitting wide open. On August 15, 2026, a wild and chaotic scene unfolded just outside the city, limits down in the south suburb of Robbins, Illinois, and this incident ended up making major political headlines. 29-year-old Markel Rose, heavily known in the streets as Quello, was a recognized member of the G-Ville Collective, specifically tied to Della World and Say Less gang. Around 1 in the morning on a Saturday, Quello reportedly pulled up to Harold's Chicken and an Ice Bar on the 13,000 block of South Clare Boulevard, but he wasn't there to grab a plate. According to official investigators and the word circulating in the streets, Quello stepped into the establishment fully masked up, strictly on a mission to get up on a specific target. Once inside, he upped his weapon and started letting shots fly in the middle of the crowded restaurant. The room instantly turned into pure chaos as people desperately scrambled for their lives. During the reckless barrage of gunfire, a 34-year-old DJ caught a bullet, but making the situation even crazier, the actual mayor of Robbins, Darren Bryant, happened to be inside the building celebrating a local resident's birthday. The mayor ended up catching a minor graze wound while diving for safety, but Quello's planned hit took a fatal turn. A contracted armed security guard working the venue spotted the masked gunman, immediately drew his own weapon and intervened. The guard returned fire, letting off multiple shots and putting Quello down right there on the floor of the restaurant. Emergency responders rushed to the blood-soaked scene. The mayor and the DJ were transported to a local hospital, treated for their minor injuries, and eventually released. Quello, however, did not make it out. He had taken multiple heavy gunshot wounds in the exchange with security and was officially pronounced dead right around 1 in the morning. While some scattered rumors floating around the internet tried to claim there were 2 masked shooters involved, the Cook County Sheriff's Office and local authorities confirmed Quello was the sole masked gunman who got taken out by the guard. The village of Robbins put out a heavy public statement shortly after, making it clear that this deadly violence was brought into their town by outsiders. With the security guard acting in clear defense of the crowd, this botched hit ultimately closed the book on the G-ville affiliate, leaving detectives to just clean up the pieces of a crazy night. On August 9th, 2026, a sudden daylight shooting claimed a life on the south side in the Englewood neighborhood. At approximately 4:19 in the afternoon, 26-year-old Darren Dorsey Jr., heavily known in the streets as Lil D, was out on the 1300 block of West 73rd Place. Lil D was a recognized and established member of the 3rd Gang and Met Block collectives. According to the online street community, he was standing directly within the territory of the Ada Block 073 collective when things took a fatal turn. The afternoon calm was completely shattered when gunfire suddenly rang out through the neighborhood. Lil D was caught in the violence, taking a devastating, direct gunshot wound to the head. Emergency medical responders quickly arrived on the scene and rushed him over to the University of Chicago Medical Center in critical condition, but the trauma from the head wound was just too severe, and despite their best efforts to save him, he was ultimately pronounced dead at the hospital. Right now, Area 1 detectives are actively investigating the deadly afternoon shooting. The shooter managed to escape the scene before the sirens arrived, and as of now, police have confirmed that no arrests have been made and the case remains wide open. On the exact same day, August 9th, 2026, the violence continued its deadly overnight run, this time shifting over to the west side in the Austin neighborhood. Just before 2 in the morning, 32-year-old Marshawn Wilson, known simply in the streets as Marshawn, was out on the 300 block of South Kilpatrick Avenue. Marshawn, who usually resided nearby on the 4200 block of West End Avenue, was a recognized and established member of the Fro Gang collective. Online community members were quick to map out the scene, noting that the specific area where he was found falls directly into the territory of the CMT collective. Tragically, his passing marked a heavy blow for his section, recording the second major loss for Fro Gang in just this year alone. The early morning hours took a dark turn when shots rang out through the neighborhood. When Chicago police and first responders arrived at the location, they made a grim discovery. Marshawn had been brutally targeted and had taken a devastating gunshot wound directly to the temple. The physical trauma was absolute. Paramedics couldn't do anything to save him, and he was tragically pronounced dead right there at the scene. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office later officially ruled his death a homicide. Right now, Area 4 detectives are trying to piece together exactly what led up to the fatal encounter. The shooter vanished into the early morning darkness, and as of now, police have confirmed that no arrests have been made, leaving another West Side case completely unsolved. On July the 31st, 2026, a brazen broad daylight drive-by shooting ripped through the West Side in the North Lawndale neighborhood. At approximately 12:40 in the afternoon, 27-year-old Prentice Smith, heavily known in the streets as Crusty or PJ, was standing out near a bus shelter on the 3400 block of West 16th Street. Crusty was a recognized and established member of the ZMG collective. According to the online community tracking the street politics, the specific bus stop where he was posted up fell directly inside the boundaries of Bucci gang territory. The quiet of the midday hours took a sudden, violent turn when not one but two separate vehicles rolled up on his location. Almost immediately, multiple shooters from inside the cars upped their weapons and started letting off a massive barrage of gunfire right at the bus shelter. Crusty was heavily targeted in the spray, catching multiple devastating hits, but the sheer recklessness of this coordinated daytime attack also caught an innocent bystander in the crossfire. A 56-year-old woman who just happened to be standing nearby caught 2 bullets to the back as the shots rang out. As soon as the smoke cleared, both vehicles slammed on the gas and sped away from the block, leaving the sidewalk completely covered in shattered glass from the busted bus shelter. Emergency responders scrambled to the topped-off scene and immediately rushed both victims over to Mount Sinai Hospital. Despite all efforts by the trauma team, the damage Crusty sustained was simply too severe, and he was tragically pronounced dead. Fortunately, the 56-year-old woman was able to be stabilized, was listed in fair condition, and is expected to survive the terrifying ordeal. Right now, Area 4 detectives are working the scene, trying to track down those 2 getaway cars. The gunman who orchestrated the deadly multi-vehicle drive-by remain completely unidentified, and Chicago police have confirmed that nobody is currently in custody, leaving yet another violent case wide open on the West Side. On July 26, 2026, a devastating and high-profile assassination sent absolute shockwaves through the far south side in the Roseland neighborhood. At roughly 12:49 in the morning, 24-year-old Deja Winford, or widely known and heavily respected in the streets as Dee Murda, was navigating through the 10,400 block of South Michigan Avenue. Dee Murda was a highly established figure with deep ties, claimed by multiple sections, but heavily recognized as a core member of both the A-Tray and BOG collectives. Online community members were quick to point out the dangerous context of her location, noting that she was moving directly through Goontown territory at the time of the incident. While initial official police press releases briefly stated that the victims were standing outside with a group, the streets quickly corrected the narrative with the real details. According to heavy community reports, Dee Murda was actually driving an Acura with a 20-year-old female passenger in the car. Without warning, an unidentified gunman who was posted up on the sidewalk opened fire, completely unloading what looked to be an entire clip right into a vehicle as it passed. The barrage was absolutely merciless. Dee Murda was struck critically in the back of the head during the spray, causing her to lose control of the Acura and violently crash. Her passenger was also hit multiple times in the crossfire. Emergency responders scrambled to the chaotic wreckage. They pulled Dee Murda from the vehicle and rushed her to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but the trauma from the head wound was unsurvivable, and despite desperate life-saving measures, she was tragically pronounced dead. The 20-year-old passenger was transported over to Roseland Hospital, where she was successfully stabilized and listed in good condition. The fallout from her murder was massive and immediate, lighting a serious match in the city's underground. Her death triggered a heavy wave of street politics. Just weeks later, a member of Murder Town, known in the streets as Dot, was shot and killed, an execution that the online community and rival factions heavily labeled as direct getback for Dee Murda's assassination. In the immediate aftermath of Dot's passing, a massive alliance of sections, including BOG, YFG, 95 Mob, OTV, 757, Young World, Risky Road, and Pocket Town, took to social media to relentlessly troll the opposition and honor Dee Murda's name. Right now, Area 2 detectives are still trying to unravel the fatal ambush. The sidewalk shooter vanished into the dark without a trace, and as of now, Chicago police have confirmed that no arrests have been made, leaving a highly volatile case sitting wide open. On July 25, 2026, the grim reality of the streets claimed another life on the west side in the West Garfield Park neighborhood. Just before 2:15 in the early morning hours on a Saturday, 37-year-old Gerard Cooper, known heavily in the streets as Gucci, was parked out on the 4200 block of West Monroe Street. Gucci was a recognized and established member of the E-Block collective, specifically repping the Bobby Boys faction. According to the online community monitoring the block politics, the specific location where he was sitting inside his sport utility vehicle fell straight into the boundaries of Cuckoo Gang territory. The quiet of the late night took a sudden and fatal turn when an unidentified man approached his vehicle on foot. Completely without warning, the man upped a weapon and started letting off a heavy barrage of gunfire directly into the vehicle. Gucci was heavily targeted in the attack, catching multiple devastating rounds before the shooter vanished into the darkness. Emergency medical responders scrambled to the scene and rushed the critically wounded Bobby Boys affiliate over to Stroger Hospital. But despite the trauma team's absolute best efforts, the physical damage was just too severe. Gucci could not be saved, and he was tragically pronounced dead shortly after. Right now, Area 4 detectives are actively investigating the fatal late-night ambush. The man who walked up and pulled the trigger remains completely unidentified, and Chicago police have confirmed that no arrests have been made, leaving another deadly West Side case sitting wide open. On July 24, 2026, the violence shifted up to the north side in the Uptown neighborhood. Around 12:25 in the early morning hours that Friday, 21-year-old Irvin Snow Jr., known heavily in the streets as Boom Boom, was sitting inside a vehicle out on the 5100 block of North Winthrop Avenue. Boom Boom was a recognized and established member of the Zoo Crew 2900 collective. According to online street trackers, the specific location where his car was parked fell right into the boundaries of Dub Dub territory. The quiet of the late night was abruptly shattered when an unidentified male suspect walked straight up to his vehicle on foot. Without any warning, the man upped a weapon and fired directly into the car. Boom Boom was caught completely off guard in the sudden ambush and suffered a devastating point-blank gunshot wound to the neck. As the shooter vanished into the north side streets, emergency responders scrambled to the bloody scene. They pulled the critically wounded Zoo Crew affiliate from the vehicle and rushed him over to Illinois Masonic Medical Center. But the trauma to his neck was just too severe. Despite the medical team's desperate efforts to stabilize him, he was tragically pronounced dead shortly after. Right now, Area 3 detectives are actively investigating the fatal overnight execution. The gunman who walked up to the car remains completely unidentified, and Chicago police have confirmed that no arrests have been made, leaving another deadly case sitting wide open. On July 24, 2026, a tragic and violent scene unfolded just outside the city, down in the south suburb of Lansing, Illinois. Jermaine Lakeith, widely known in the streets and through his music as Tamula, was out at Mingle's Bar and Grill. Tamula was a central figure, a main face, and the lead rapper for the L4M collective. His presence was huge for his section, holding down the movement both on the block and in the studio. That night, the venue was hosting a high school reunion gathering, a scene meant for catching up and celebrating. But the mood took a sudden dark turn when a heated argument broke out between two groups inside or near the bar. The conflict escalated in seconds. Before anyone could defuse the situation, someone pulled a gun and started letting off shots right inside the crowded establishment, sending people diving for cover. T. Murda was caught directly in the line of fire, sustaining catastrophic gunshot wounds. Emergency medical responders rushed to the scene to render aid, but the damage was simply too severe, and he was tragically pronounced dead right there on the floor of the venue. His passing hit his collective hard, marking a massive and devastating blow to L4M, as they lost one of their most prominent voices and top artists in a matter of seconds. Detectives immediately locked down the area, canvassing for witnesses, collecting ballistics, and pulling available surveillance footage to map out the confrontation. As of now, authorities have not announced any arrests or named the shooter, leaving the investigation into the fatal bar shooting active and open. On July 23, 2026, a devastating evening attack unfolded on the west side in the West Garfield Park neighborhood. At approximately 6:50 in the evening, 49-year-old James Gooden, highly respected and known in the streets as Scooter or Doobie, was out on the 3800 block of West Adams Street. Scooter was a recognized and established member of the SOA collective. According to street history, he was also known to be very close with James Mobb, a traveling vice lord set based out of 15th and Trumbull. Online community members mapping out the block politics noted that the specific area where he was posted up fell directly inside the boundaries of Toss-Nem territory. While initial official police reports claimed that Scooter was standing on the sidewalk, the word from the streets clarified that he was actually sitting inside a vehicle at the time, accompanied by a 13-year-old boy. The early evening calm was abruptly shattered when two unidentified men walked up on their location. Without warning, the men upped their weapons and unleashed a deadly barrage of gunfire. Scooter was heavily targeted in the ambush, suffering a catastrophic gunshot wound directly to the head. The reckless crossfire also struck the young teenager. Emergency responders scrambled to the chaotic scene. Scooter was quickly rushed over to Mount Sinai Hospital, but the trauma from the head wound was simply unsurvivable, and he was tragically pronounced dead shortly after. Fortunately, paramedics were able to transport the 13-year-old boy over to Stroger Hospital, where he was stabilized, listed in good condition, and is expected to survive the terrifying ordeal. Right now, Area 4 detectives are actively investigating the fatal evening shooting. The two gunmen who pulled the triggers completely vanished into the west side streets, and as of now, Chicago police have confirmed that no arrests have been made, leaving another deadly case sitting wide open. As the yellow police tape comes down and the block tries to catch its breath, the aftermath of these midsummer weeks continues to ripple across every neighborhood, with detectives hitting dead ends on almost every case file and rival sections constantly plotting their next move. One thing remains crystal clear. On these streets, the get back knows no expiration date, and the cycle of violence never truly stops.